But it's fascinating to me because you don't actually know what seeds are being planted in these moments. Sometimes, there have been times in my life for sure, where I had a strong aversion to something. My name's Seadar. I'm with Crystal Focus Alchemy, and I'm here to talk about crystal skulls today. The title of the talk is Why You Should Work with Crystal Skulls. Since we're a small, intimate group, I'm just going to go ahead and sit. I brought two skulls with me for the talk today. The skull is a smoky skull from Brazil. Their name is Fatash, and they're helping to channel the information with me today. And the skull next to me, this is an ancient Aztec skull. Fatash is carved in the last year or so. This Aztec skull next to me was carved at least 1,000 years ago. She prefers to have her eyes in so that she can see better. So that is what you are seeing here. I've gotten many questions about crystal skulls over the weekend, and I'll try to address the highlight points for everyone. The starting place for most people is that most people have a relationship with crystals first before they might start to have a relationship with crystal skulls. And the most common answer I got when I asked people why they like crystals is they say, oh, it's the way they make me feel. We feel this energy of being with the crystals, and it's so appealing in so many ways. And the different crystals have different feelings. Most of the quartz that's on the planet is at least 100 million years old. Some much older. And quartz is the most common mineral on the planet, in Gaia's crust. And so when we're talking about the crystal skulls, that energy is present through the crystal, but then it's also carved. And so the next question became sort of like, well, why do we carve them into the shape of a skull? What's that about? We were joking all weekend that it was the question of crystal skulls. What the heck? Right? So this is about when you're connecting with people, generally we look them in the eyes. We recognize that the eyes are the window to the consciousness. And we don't look elsewhere, we focus right in on the eyes, especially even with the animals. We do this, we look right in their eyes. And so when you're working with crystal skulls, you're feeling the crystal energy. But part of you also recognizes, because of the shape, that what you're interacting with is consciousness. And so it leads you to the question, what is consciousness? At a very simple, rudimentary level, consciousness if you look in the dictionary, it's described as being awake and aware of your surroundings. My experience with crystal skulls tells me that they're very much aware and awake of their surroundings. So we're working with consciousness. Just like when we're working with other people, you're relating to each other. It's the relationship between your consciousness. That's where all of the magic is happening. We have a train. It's a good sign. Trains are related to our ancestors, and so are the skulls. So they're bringing ancestor energy in right now. We start from the place of working with the crystalline energy, and we recognize that it's consciousness that we're working with. And so it becomes a question of relationship, which is really what all of our spiritual work boils down to. It comes down to being in right relationship. This is what we're seeking within ourselves. Being in right relationship within myself is how I am in right relationship with others. Okay? If there's parts of myself that I am avoiding, or parts of myself that I'm diminishing, I'm putting my effort into people pleasing rather than being my authentic self, we're not fully in right relationship with who we are. And so the working with crystal skulls is a powerful reminder. It brings us back to who we really are, and helps us to open the ways in which protect ourselves are ways in which we often are diminishing ourselves, right? And so they're helping us work with these energies. The three things about skulls is first, the crystal, which we talked about. So we're talking about 100 million year old quartz that has grown as part of Gaia. The second thing is how they're carved. And this you know innately, because you can tell the difference between when you're in a strip mall versus when you're in the Louvre. You can see sculptures that are churned out by the hundreds, then you can see a Michelangelo. And boy, there's such an energetic difference there. Why? It's love. It's the love that was put into the creations. So this is the second thing. The third thing is about how they're used, which is really, again, about relationship. How do we relate to them? The ancient ones are often the ones that were held in reverence as a sacred place in the community over thousands of years. The more modern ones, we're building those relationships now. And so the ancient ones have all three going for them. The younger skulls are eager to build relationships with us. And they have so much to offer. So the skulls work with each of us in the way that is most appropriate for us. They don't work with anyone in the same way, because we're all individuals. So they're working with us in the way that is most appropriate. And they're working with what's present for us. What's present for you one day might not be what's present for you the next day. And so you can experience a wide range of energies in working with the skulls. It is also a subtle energy. It requires your invitation. You have to open to the work. They're not going to knock down the door for you. They want you to open the door for them. And so when people start to, when there's a large group of people like this, some people will come in and they'll gravitate right up to the skulls. Other people will come in and they're like, that kind of creeps me out. I'm going to just keep my distance. Or they'll say something like, I'm not really a skull person. Or something like this. And it's because there's such a potent reminder of what's real in this world. We have only a moment here. And all of our power to make any difference at all is in this moment. It's not in the future and it's not in the past. When you leave your body, the piece of you that will stay the longest is your skull. Everything else will decompose first. And so it's a reminder that we are here as mortal beings for a moment. It is a reminder of our ultimate vulnerability to be in the presence of a skull. It is also your senses. Generally, most of them reside here. Your spatial awareness, your depth of perception, your sight, your hearing, your smell, your taste, it all is here. The rest of your senses are your touch and your energetic senses, your clairs, your ESP, your empathy, all exist elsewhere in the system. So they are helping you to work in this way. And so as you see people come and go, people that are gravitating towards the skulls, there's a way in which they are embracing sort of some of the unknown of what is in life and the vulnerability of how it is to be present here. And if there's parts of us that we are diminishing or protecting, you might find a little more aversion there. But it's fascinating to me because you don't actually know what seeds are being planted in these moments. Sometimes, there have been times in my life for sure, where I had a strong aversion to something. But boy, a little while later, I realized that was powerful medicine for me. It changed my life to come into contact with something that made me uncomfortable. And it's a theme that's come up this weekend. It's because all of the growth we're seeking in our life, all the change that we're seeking for the world, none of it lives in the comfort zone. None of it. So every change that we're seeking comes with some uncomfortable, some painful, some challenge comes with it. It's what encourages the growth. And that's what we've been calling in. That's what we're calling in for each other. That's what we're calling in for Gaia. That's what we're calling in for the country and the world. Is this powerful change of coming into right relationship with each other, coming into right relationship with the planet. And each of us, if you're here, I know you can see ways in which maybe we're not in balance right now. And that's part of what you're doing here today, is looking to enhance that. And so the skulls are here to assist. They've been here since before there were humans. They will be here after we are gone, when the next species arises, whatever they are. And they carry information. Quartz is a recorder. It's a little bit like an Earth computer. They retain information for they retain the information of what was present during their existence here. You can pass her around. You're welcome to spend some time with her. So in working with them, the way that we work with skulls, there are a few main ways to begin to work with them. But everything channels through the heart. All of the work comes through here. And so you start with opening a heart channel. The way I describe it to people is like you're welcoming your friends into your home. You're just opening the door, saying, come in. And since they work with everyone differently, you may experience a wide range of things. It could be a smell, it could be an emotion, it could be a taste, it could be a sound, it could be a vision, it could be a knowing of information. It can come through in many ways. Sitting just in meditation with a heart open is one way. Another way is called scrying. Does anybody know about scrying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Where you're looking at the reflective surface, mm-hmm. and you're just softening your gaze to see what comes through. And as you do this, they may show you lots of different things. Some experiments were done where the same skull was given to different people to scry, and they came back and reported similar things that they were seeing. So they can show you certain things. And I think a lot of it has to do with where you're going. Each of us is on a path. We're all evolving. That's what we're doing here on this Earth walk, right? And if they have an intention, it is to help you on your evolution for whatever is the highest good of all. Welcome. So you can learn to work with them through scrying. You can also learn to work with them through simple meditation. Another is through the term is psychometry, which is through touch. The way that I find it works the best for me is through holding the temples and just sitting in meditation and listening. And even if it's just a sensation that comes through, it's really good practice to sit and listen. So these are the main ways to work with them. And in my life, there has been a lot of magic around them. They have brought so much through. One of the things that's been really striking to me is that many of them have come to me after someone else has passed. And so if you've been by my booth today, you've seen that Star Sirius is their 70-pound quartz crystal skull. A little bit hard to miss. Star came to me after their previous guardian, Steve Rossley, had passed. Steve ran a crystal shop in Chicago and would take the skulls out to shows like this and have a table, and Star would work with people and do personal activations. And so we came here today. This is our first booth. It's the first time we've had a setup like this since Star has come to me. Star joined me in 2019. And yesterday, someone walked in the door and told me a story. 15 years ago, they had gone to their first crystal fair. And when they went in, they met Steve Rossley and had a session with Star Sirius. And then, months ago, they had planned a visit to Mount Shasta. And so they came and they arrived yesterday and intuitively came over to this fair. And on the way, on the ride over, she was telling her friends the story of going to that first crystal fair. Oh, I met this great skull, Star Sirius. I had this amazing experience meditating with this skull. And then walks in the door to see Star waiting for her 15 years later. It was such a potent time for all of us. And I could feel Steve's presence there too. And so I have a relationship with Steve, and I never met him in real life. But the skulls brought us together. So there has been a lot of magic. I'll do questions in 1 sec. I was just getting there. There's just been a lot of magic with the skulls. And we've got about 10 minutes, so I'll just open it up to whatever other questions are in the room. And I see you raised your hand, yes. So what can I answer for you?
So they're made of quartz or some other stone that I see from your table. What is the difference between, like, saying just getting a stone, it's a raw stone that hasn't been shaped in a skull, compared to one that has been shaped in a skull? Is it in the processing of making the skull as some of the magic comes through, or what's the difference?
The first thing is that when you're connecting with another person, you generally look them in the eyes because you recognize the eyes are the window to the consciousness. When a crystal is carved in the shape of a skull, part of you recognizes that what you're interacting with is consciousness. Crystals are not just objects that look pretty on a shelf for us. They are awake, growing, and aware of their environment and recording. The quartz especially records the experiences. They know what they have experienced over their life. And the quartz is, in general, around 100 million years old. So they have seen things since before they were humans. And so we carve them in the shape of the skull because it gives us an opportunity, in a way, to interact with consciousness in a way that is subtly different from just interacting with the crystal itself. Some crystals also want to be carved into various shapes. And so the master carvers will tell you that the crystal tells them how to carve the crystal, not the other way around.
So the stones, the skulls that you have, I'm assuming, are ones that came from a master that you know puts a certain type of love and energy into the stones when you made it. I'm sure there's some cheap knockoff versions that may not have as much.
But even the person that is making the cheaper version by the bucketful sometimes hits it out of the park.
Yeah.
There are moments of brilliance that come from all of us. And so it is not about, it has to be a specific person or a specific crystal. You'll know it intuitively through your heart center. That's where your knowing comes. Your knowing comes from, this is where we think about things. We analyze all our inputs, our perception comes here. This is where we start to know. The gut sense that we all have, boy, that's where we really know it. That's why we call it, like my gut instinct. Synthesizes, it integrates in the heart, and that's how we express it in the world. So as you're interacting with them, you'll intuitively know which ones are most speaking to you. But this is also why I work with many different carvers, and I'm also getting set up to carve myself. Yeah. Are there any other questions today in the room? Go ahead.
What do you know about the 12 plus 1, 13 planetary skulls? Or I can't remember the names of them, but there's something specific about them.
There are 13 ancient skulls on the planet, and the legend says, the mystery says, that once they're reunited, they'll unlock information for us that we need as a species, right? To come into right relationship as a species with the planet. It's part of our ascension process. Some of them have reappeared. They have been found. Shana Ra is one of these skulls. If you look at the previous generation of skull guardians, Nick Nocerino was one of the most prolific. Found Shana Ra through psychic archaeology. Basically was using skulls to see different places, and that's how they found the place to dig to find the skull. It's in a clay jar. There were 3 others too. Pulled it out of the ground in Guerrero, Mexico. There are many that have not been found yet though. And so we are in the process of bringing this together. But all of the skulls are connected. They're talking to each other all the time. So whether or not humans know where they know where they are. When they're ready, they'll make themselves known. And if they're ready to come back and to work with humans directly, the reason that some of them aren't ready yet is because they're doing deep work with the earth. Right? There are some that are under the ocean. There are some that are in deep secret places in the land. And you can communicate with them through working with the skulls. But the ones that don't want to be found, they will not tell you where they are. There is not a signpost for that. But there are so many that are ready to work. And they can just crack open the door for you. And so you can find, whatever is in your highest good, for your next step, for what the medicine that you're here to bring, that is what they will help you with the most. That's what they're most concerned with. And the other stuff that happens after we're gone, it's not our work. Our work is now. Right? We're all here to bring medicine to the world. And if I have one wish for each of you, is that you find the fullest expression of yourself and your medicine for this planet, for each other, and that you bring that into the world. Because that's what you're really here to do. And the rest of it, it's a little bit of a distraction. We're all human. There's no perfect path. It is a messy human path that we're all on. But that's why we need each other. And that's what the skulls are here to help us with. Go ahead.
When you have a skull that has this routine consciousness, and you have, say, another skull, when they maybe come together, are they interacting with each other, the information that each has stored, and then now create a kind of a collective consciousness, and when now they're separated, now they go on and now can be more of an expansive kind of...
Just like we're doing here in this room. We're all learning from each other. Our energetic fields, our heart fields are big enough that we're all connected in this room. We're all connected in this whole park. We're learning information from each other whether or not we're sitting here talking or not. And we take that with us. And that's how you walk into a room where the vibe is a little funny, right away. You might not know why, but you know that there's something that's getting your attention. That's how the skulls, they just pick up information, they record all of it, You know, we talk about computers in terms of storage, like, oh, it's got this many terabytes. How many terabytes does this have? Is there ever a limit to how much information can be stored in this skull? No. It does not work the same way that we've created our human versions of this, right? And so, 100 million years of information is available. And it's continuing to record. How long will they be here? Recording information. How long will we be finding them? Skulls that have been here for millennia. Skulls that we cannot explain how they exist, and here they come. And right now we're seeing a big resurgence of skulls showing up, that it's more skulls coming in than I have seen ever, and I'm still new to this, but still it's mind-blowing. I had 75 arrive in the last week.
Wow.
My house was but also people connecting with skulls, people becoming skull keepers, skull guardians, starting to work with the skulls, bringing the skulls with them. You might have a little skull in your pocket, you might have one on a necklace, you might have one in your altar. The first way they're going to work with you, if you take a skull with you, is through your dreams. There's no resistance in your dream space. So bring your skull in, set it by your bed, listen to what comes. Because there's a lot that happens when you're asleep. We think of it as like we're taking a rest. They're like, great, now we can get busy. Now we can do the real work. Because when you're awake, you're too distracted. You've got too much other stuff going on. But this is when it really shows up.